Konnichiwa, Watashi wa Makoto. I'm the illustrator for the manga Shapeshifter by the writer of Riley Ravenheart. He wrote this manga, and I assist him as the artist for the storyboarding and the one shot. Now, I want to analyze the one shot I created. I'm not going to show the whole thing. You could check it out by the original creator. So, these panels, I had problems with the anatomy or facial structure and the shading of the main character. I'm not going to tell you what the main character name is. I highly recommend you to read the story by the original creator. But for context, I drew a character for him. This is the main character, and I even made a storyboard to sketch out how I want to make the one shot. And in my opinion, I don't think I did a great job. So we're going to reflect. So I want to write down the sorry, I just had to take a deep breath. I'll just write it. Alright, so one thing I want to write down is anatomy. I struggled with the posing, so I had to use a app that allows you to pose 3D anime characters. And it worked somewhat fine, but I could have done a better job, especially on the face. Number 2, too much shading. Number 3, now the flow of the manga is a bit choppy in my opinion, so I should have added a little bit more swerves to the character moving, and I could have made it a lot better. Oh, I also want to write something. Let's see, poor time management. I felt so stressed out with the project and the deadline for it. It's not the deadline that's the problem. It's mostly me as the artist because I have trouble creating art with limited amount of time, which means I have to learn how to draw faster, but also be more consistent with fundamentals such as anatomy, shading, such and such. To me, it just looks like I added everything together and made art out of it. So it needs to have a sort of aesthetic to it. Now, there's no theme for the art style. It's just typical generic anime art, or it's probably developing in this process. Yeah. As you can see here in this illustration, I made sure the shading was on point because I used a pencil so you could easily shade with different variants. I pressed darker on the lead if I want to create a darker complexity for some of the parts, and I added lighter shading for the parts that are not supposed to be too dark. But when you're using ink, it's completely different. You're specifically relying on hatching, cross-hatching, and using the color black. So it's going to be really hard for you to shade without any sort of gray tones. Now, using gray tones would actually be a good idea, and I actually do own gray markers to add gray shading. But unfortunately for this project, I just stick to nothing but black, and I tried hatching, and I tried to work on the art style, and it was hard to manage. It needs 5 of these things to make it a better one shot. This doesn't mean I'm going to give up on the project. I'm going to do better next time and create a solid chapter. One more thing I want to add. I want the art to be very consistent. I don't want to see different types of art styles in a single chapter. All the arrangements of the eye, the face, the hair, the scarf, and the shading, it all has to come together. It can't be, all over the place. Oh, I also want to add one more problem. Now, I see professional mangakas get away with having rough art like Togashi and Gega, but for me, I'm a different story. I need to really work on the rough parts of the one shot and actually smoothen out the line art, the way things are formed, and that's the best way I could describe it, honestly. So there's not much for today's video. I just wanted to identify the flaws I made for this project and figuring out how to do a better job at it. This doesn't mean that the whole project is a complete failure. It just means that I was able to identify the flaws after it's finished and learning how to become a better mangaka. Because if I decide to create one-shots for my series, I need to learn the mistakes I made from this project and do better on my project and the project I'm currently assisting on. Anyway, thank you for watching today's video. I'll see you next time. Sayonara.